Heroes first, veterans together, legacy forever. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of getting to know our heroes on a much deeper level. I am your host, Josh White, and this is the HeroFront podcast. Let's get after it.
Hi, welcome, hello, welcome to the HeroFront podcast.
Can y'all see me good or no?
I don't have my glasses on, I don't know. What do I say? Heroes first, wingmen together, Airman forever. Legacy forever. I am your host, Joshua.
Angie.
What? I mean, Angie.
You don't look like Josh.
I look like Josh. Fun fact, my husband doesn't drink, but I do. Sometimes. And
all right,
he's
cheers,
cool with
Angie.
it. That's a thing.
Cheers.
So my best friend doesn't drink either, but they're
Yeah.
fine with me drinking. That's pretty cool. I just want to say you are okay to drink around him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
So I prepared some questions for you.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Here we go. Josh was supposed to ask you these, but I'm just gonna do it because I don't know what to say. So,
Okay.
boxers or briefs?
What?
Briefs. 100%.
Briefs.
Boxers,
All right.
right.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you could be a plate of food, what would you be?
Lasagna.
Lasagna. Okay, and why?
It's delicious.
Okay, so you're saying you're delicious.
I'm multiple ingredients, you know what I mean? I'm layered.
You're you're like an onion.
Like an onion. But
Yeah.
who wants to eat just a regular onion? You know what I mean?
Nobody wants to eat an onion. They want to be lasagna.
They want to be lasagna layers. Layers.
Mwah.
Yes.
Okay, if you could freeze time, when would you freeze it?
Oh man. That's a hard one.
Let's do it. Let's get deep.
Oh man.
Let's go.
I don't know.
Let's go,
The
Doctor
moment-
Strange.
So two times. So this moment my kids were born, that's when I'd freeze time so I can view it forever.
Okay, hold on. That was really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and why? I have a
Because I love
why
my
here.
Huh? Because I love my kids, you know?
Okay.
That's
What's-
like the greatest time.
What's the best thing about your children?
So my oldest is funny. Oh, she's a prankster, so am I.
The apple
And my
doesn't fall
youngest-
far from the tree.
Yeah, my youngest is just, she says funny stuff, you know what I mean? So
It sounds like they're both funny.
they are really funny, but one's more funny than the other one. One's more
That's-
clever and prankster like than the other one, you know what I mean?
Okay, so you have a favorite?
No, I don't. I love them equally.
Did you hear that, girls? He has a favorite. Next
I have a
question.
Do
Okay,
not.
I know you like music like myself. Best
Yes.
band ever.
Man, you're asking a guitarist that question. Angels and Airwaves, hands down.
That's me spitting.
You don't like him?
I do like Angels and Airwaves, but why wouldn't you just pick Blink 182?
Because I grew out of it, to be honest with you. I grew way out of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah,
was cool
me
when I was
too.
when I was
yeah.
in my 20s, but now I'm what? Freaking 35, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, totally.
You know, yeah, I kind of grew out of it just a little bit.
Oh, wait, hold on. Beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Okay. My son wants to say hi.
Hi.
Say hi. That's Phoenix. You guys have never
Yeah, I
met
know.
before. There's a third one
Phoenix.
somewhere too. Just kidding.
Third
kidding.
one.
Just kidding.
He's already
This is
out.
the announcement.
This is it. Ah!
she's drinking.
Wait, you're pregnant?
I'm drinking wine. No, God, no. I'm done.
Wait, how do you say you got a third kid and then like?
It was a clever joke.
Oh man,
Isn't that clever?
Angie's son.
Si, senor.
Yes. Are you guys friends?
No. I'm done. Shop's closed.
Yeah, shop's closed.
Shop's closed. What about you?
What do you mean?
Is this shop closed for you?
Absolutely 100% shut down, locked.
Oh.
The key's gone. Yep. Nope.
So do you want to talk about your vasectomy?
I do. I mean, what do you want to know?
You got a vasectomy?
I'll share anything with you.
Okay, so what is the process of a vasectomy?
I have no idea. I don't have one.
That would have been a really...
I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Okay, Josh is like, I want to talk to my best friend. Okay, I have
Here.
three more questions.
Yes,
My
go,
kids are
shoot.
getting really antsy. They can't survive without me.
Your mom. That's right.
I know they love me way more than him. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, what are your talents? And I know you have at least two. Slapping the bass and then
One of my talents is guitar. So you can see right over there.
Oh,
Right.
you aren't hooked up. You should have played some for us.
I should have. You know what I mean? I could have.
Yeah, that would have been.
That's one of my talents, and then my second talent is I'm good at gaming.
Oh no! Your third talent. You were almost on a show.
Oh, okay. Third talent. Oh man, I'm pretty boring. I don't know.
You were gonna be a cook.
Yes, I can throw down in the kitchen. That is an absolute third talent. Yes, 100%.
Okay, Josh is like, my batteries are running out, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Shoot.
Okay, this is the next question that I have. I'm gonna pretend I'm Josh, or I'm gonna pretend I'm Josh. How cool is my wife?
10 out of 10, fucking badass, and I'm not being disingenuous. Angie, you're awesome.
Thank you so much. I try to be. What?
And you're a military spouse, holding it down. You're the reason why Josh is successful. Period. Dot.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? They got
That's
two
so
awesome
nice.
kids. Yeah.
I love
Tell
my
Josh
children.
that. Say, Josh, I'm successful or you're successful because of me.
Okay, no joke. Half of his ideas are from me.
Yeah.
My mind just like goes and goes and goes. I have a very entrepreneurial mind, so I love to spit out ideas and innovations and stuff. But I hate being in front of the camera.
Well, you're in front of it now. I think Angie, what you need to do is do all the pre-interviews.
I would love that. Would be really fun.
You know why? Because you make people relax. You bring them in. You know what I mean? They're ready for Josh. Just like
ready.
That is so great. Okay, one more question. Should she cut her hair? Should his wife cut his hair?
Do not cut your hair.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
I won't cut my hair.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay. And the last question would be so funny if it was Josh. Okay. He says, can you come here? Yeah. Just ask this last question. And you have to read it word for word.
All right, where is
this
it?
one.
Read it, bro.
Where are you, ticklish?
I have one spot for that. I'm not sharing with you.
Inner thigh. Yeah.
That's not it.
Gross. Okay. Bye.
Bye, Angie.
Bye. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Okay. Gotta go.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, my best friend in the entire world. Master Sergeant Select Ronnie Deschenes. Ronnie, how are you?
Fantastic, man. Fantastic.
Welcome to the HeroFront studio. I'm glad that my wife and executive officer, Angela White, was able to entertain you while I chase my two kids around up here.
She did. She did a good job, man. She needs to do all your interviews.
Just to warm the guest up a little bit, right?
100%. 100%.
Well, Ronnie, why I asked you to do this podcast was, well, for one, You're my best friend in the whole world. And anytime I get to talk to you is a blessing. And for two, we were completely pooped on our first base, treated like garbage.
Guam?
In Guam.
Yeah.
Andersen Air Force Base, Guam, circa 2005?
Yeah, 05, yeah.
I think it was 5.
It was February 05.
Oh, wow. Yeah, February 05. I have to go back and look at like my going away gifts to like know the exact dates.
You're like gauging it. You're like, when was when was it?
But we got straight up pooped on because we came in there, you know, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with all these goals and just trying to have a good time. And it was just we gave the wrong first impression, and then we were stuck with that impression for the next year and a half.
Right. So it's like the Merry and Pippin concept, you know, from Lord of the Rings, you know, there's too much going on.
I haven't heard of that concept.
That's exactly what it was, man. You know that. Gandalf was like, no. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's awesome, man. Are you back at the same exact place that you lived before you went to Korea?
Yeah, so I went to Fairchild, Kunsan, and I applied for the CCCA program so I can get next to my kids, and it came through. It's got like 100% pass rate with approval. So I'm here, you know, back to Fairchild.
So that's like a new thing, right?
Mm-hmm. That's something Chief Wright did. I believe it's Chief Wright before he left. He established that program, and it's had huge successes over the Air Force itself. So it's really good to look into.
So you were divorced. Your kids live near Fairchild Air
Oregon.
Force Base. They live in Oregon.
Yeah.
You had orders to like, where was it? Like New Jersey?
Seymour.
Oh, Seymour Johnson. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the opposite side of the country that you were hoping to get.
Correct.
So you applied. What's the program called? Do you remember?
It's the CCCA program. They have the CCCD. I'm not too sure about that one, but the other one's for like people in my situation. You know what I mean? That
right.
Yeah, don't have majority custody, but they want to be next to the kids, and it works. Absolutely.
Did you do all that like on MyPers, or like how did you even start that?
So submitted through my first sergeant in command, then my MPF, right? And it was sent to MyPers. They put a stamp on it, sent it back. And then I think it was 7 days before I was supposed to leave. They popped up an order amendment, and I was able to come back here.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so glad that I'm pissed that, you know, you're not like close to me.
Yeah, right. All the way like Florida, like
right. Like you could have drove to Florida so easily. But I'm still so much more happy that you're near your kids. I mean, holy cow, that's freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you know, you got a spot here, man. You know that. You guys come up to Washington.
I do want to see Washington. Like, no kidding. Like, it looks freaking beautiful.
Yes, it is. It is gorgeous.
There's a lot of strange missing persons cases there that I've been watching on YouTube, so I gotta check it out.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, you, Angie, and Sam are welcome, man. There's room up here in this house, so you know.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when we first met. Let's take it back. Let's take it way back.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember? I mean, you have a better memory than me. When did we first meet?
So you were right behind me in basic, and I used to, and I don't think I'll get in trouble for this, but I used to run mail for you guys prior to like you guys being able to deliver mail. Remember that?
You would run mail through us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys weren't able, there's a certain week you're allowed to send mail out.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember
that.
And
I used to go by the other flights and sneak around the MTIs, and I used to steal everyone's mail and send it out.
Oh, so like you were making it happen like early for people.
Yes, absolutely.
You're a hero.
Dude, absolutely. Because I remember you're like, hey man, thanks. So I was like, yeah. And then tech school happened, so on and so forth.
So yeah, we met in basic training. Immediately I was like, this dude's awesome. And then it was so cool to see you again in tech school. And so this is at Shepherd Air Force Base. We have one of the longest tech schools, which is 6 months. And to this day, that is the longest 6 months of my life. It basically felt like 5 years.
That was an eternity, man. That was like terrible.
Every week you get tested. If you fail more than twice, you get kicked out. So like your whole career, your whole goals, everything that you have in mind, you can't get to unless you get through week after week of anxiety-fueled tests.
Correct.
And it sucked because like even when I went back for 7-level school before I retrained, it was the exact same thing. There was kids in the office like crying, they're getting sent home, and like I was like, oh my God, this is still going on. Like
yeah, that's the thing. You cross-trained as a staff, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. And then you made tech out of what? Was it out of cycle or was it out of eight? What was it?
So yeah, I retrained when I was a staff, and I went to a 3-month tech school for public health. Also pretty challenging. You have to memorize a lot of medical jargon and things, and it was stressful, but I was a little more prepared for it that time, right? And then I got to Luke Air Force Base, Arizona, and then I tested against other retrainers basically, and just completely annihilated them and made tech my first time.
Yep.
So
I remember that.
Anyone who retrains and has the opportunity to test against other retrainers and other people who are just taking half of the test essentially, and then they double your score, that is your window to make rank immediately. But yeah, man, tech school, 6 months, we became best friends, and not just me and you, like we made tons of friends there. And the coolest thing about it was that a huge group of us from tech school all went to Guam together as aerospace ground equipment. So it was me, you, Joshua Philbrick, Mary Morrison, Erdman. Zachary Miles, Noah Erdman.
Yeah.
Who else am I missing? Burgerstock, Michael Burgerstock.
Yeah.
I think that's it. So like we're talking 5-6 people. Johnston, yes, the Chadwicks.
I'm here like your memory guy. You know what I mean? I'm here for your memory, just in case you need it. Like, remember this?
And Johnston, yeah. She was I think she was a little past us in tech school, but she was still part of our crew. Yeah. And man, just 6 or 7 people from tech school that we knew for 6 months, and then to go with them to this base.
Yeah.
Like looking back on it, like that's not even a thing that ever happens ever.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah, dude, they're like, you're going to Guam. And I was like, what? And I was just like, people like with coconuts. Like, I didn't think there was like a city. You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea.
You're just picturing like a jungle. Yeah. You're picturing Vietnam.
I was like, where is this? You know what I mean? And then like I showed up, and you remember the stories, right? But it showed up, and I was like, oh my God, there's a whole base here. There's like downtown. There's X, Y, and Z. You know, it was awesome.
That was the coolest first base that we could have ever had, because we were with our great friends. We were in an amazing, beautiful island.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have had a better first base. The only thing that sucked about it to me was that I wish it was my second base, right? Because I didn't realize how good we had it.
Yeah.
So our job, me and Ronnie specifically, was to take care of WRM equipment, which is war like ready equipment. Basically, we had to maintain equipment that's not used. It sits in a warehouse in case of a war, and it has to be ready and it has to be perfect. So our job was to maintain perfect equipment. I mean, there's a little more to it. There's rust and wear and tear just from the environment. So, I mean, it wasn't like so cushy that we didn't learn anything, but it was way easier than any other age base I've ever been to after that. Like, I went to Kadena in Okinawa, Japan, and that just rocked my world. I'm talking 12-hour shifts every day, chem gear, the whole 9 yards. But in Guam, they would simulate everything on an exercise and then just go get drinks down by the beach. Like,
yeah, it was on point. You were 18. They're like, if you want a beer, I'm like, what? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
let's get into that. The drinking age. Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No,
because of
us.
Reason
for that. There's good reason for that. I'm surprised I'm still here because of Guam. But
we barely made it out of our first base.
Yeah. Now we're here.
Now we're here. I'm a master sergeant and you're a master select.
Yeah.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah. Right. Shout out to the haters. Right.
Shout out to the haters.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah. Love you too. So yeah, our job was actually stenciling for 15 months. It wasn't age. It was the memory guy, right? It was stenciling, Josh. That's all we did.
I couldn't have been.
Remember coming? I mean, if you remember coming in, they had like bomb lists. Like, oh, I want to do that. They're like, you ain't ready yet.
Sergeant Hardy.
Yeah, he's like, you ain't ready for that.
Our first supervisor was a 5'2" gentleman by the name of Staff Sergeant Joshua Hardy, hailing from Alabama. And he had a creeper mustache, and he'd say, "Man, y'all stupid, man. I can't even talk to y'all." Like, we basically worked for like Hank Hill, but he looked at us like Beavis and Butthead or something. Like that was kind of like the dynamic.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a good time, but the thing is that we created a horrible first impression. And I kind of wanted to angle this episode with you as to how important a first impression is for any, new airman out there who's going to their first base, fixing to get wild.
Yeah.
And kind of the pitfalls that you could fall into. And then you're just stuck in this light for the entire rest of your time that you're stationed there. Like, once you're in that light, like that's it. That's a wrap.
Yeah. You're known as that for 15 months.
And because we became known as that, it just made me act worse. Cause it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. I'm already like labeled, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I have nothing to lose now. Like I have nothing to strive for. Like, so why would I do better?
I mean, looking at it, man, I mean, we kind of came in like loud and obnoxious, you know what I mean? And that's something not to do, you know what I mean? When you go to your first base, and scream and yell, on the maintenance floor, like day 2, it's probably not a good idea. So that's on us, you know what I mean? But the rest of the time there, kind of labeled as such, you know what I mean? Do you remember when we went to FTAC?
I do.
First time?
Yes, I loved FTAC. I love Master Sergeant Jackson from Security Forces.
Yeah.
I don't know where that guy is, that crazy Irish guy, but man, I freaking loved that guy. He was such an awesome dude, and I'm so thankful that we got to spend time with him in FTAC.
Yeah, he was a good dude. But I remember coming back, man, and then be like, "Oh, we're good, super excited to go to work." And then it was like, it got even worse. You remember that?
Yes. And do you know why that is? Do you remember?
No, I didn't.
I remember because I remember that because that was the most eye-opening part of it all to me. So what happened was there was a few people from tech school that got there like a month before us.
Yep.
Zach Miles and Mike Burgerstock.
Yep.
Who were friends of ours, but also kind of thought we were idiots. And so it was kind of like they were the seniors and we were the freshmen. It was kind of that type of dynamic, right? Yep. Although we were basically all the same age, but because they had a few months on us, that put them in like this different mindset, where we were like
elevated.
Yeah.
Like a 1 month extra A1C to like, it really didn't matter. You know what I mean? Because everyone's kind of here. But
to them it mattered. They outranked us and they were senior to us. And what happened was we got to the shop. We were doing our introductions. We were all kind of excited to work, and immediately we get notified that we're going to something called the First Term Airman Center. I think at that time it was 2 weeks long.
It was, yeah.
It's a week long now, but back then it was 2 weeks long, and it's where you're a new airman at your first base and you get this whole educational crash course on what it's like to live on a base, what the resources are, what the local area is like. It's really helpful if you're a new airman.
Yep.
And so what happened was the weekend before our FTAC, we got completely blasted on the beach on base. And I basically almost got into a fight with Burgerstock.
I remember that. Yeah. I remember
that. We were like in each other's face. We're both young, full of testosterone and not wanting to back down. Right. We were just in high school, like not too long ago. So like that, all that immaturity and button head people we just couldn't handle this alcohol at 18, which was legal at the time there. And it caused for us to butt heads with these two individuals right before we were gone for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we butt heads with them. We go to FTAC. We have a great time. And when we get back, no one's talking to us. They want nothing to do with us. It's like it's like we slapped their mother.
Yeah.
Like,
just boom,
right. And like, that's how they're treating us. And we're like, what is happening? And then I piece it together after hearing a few conversations, and me and you are talking, and I'm like, Ronnie, we're screwed, man, because we pissed them off that on the beach. You remember on the beach 2 weeks ago, they've done nothing but talk trash about us for this entire 2 weeks about how worthless we are, how dumb we are, how incompetent we are, how we're going to ruin this work center. They have just dragged our names through the mud for 2 weeks, and they believed them, and and we're screwed. And guess what? We were screwed.
It was a good almost a year and a half, dude, of us being screwed over. Because of
that, we got put on bathroom cleaning duty, remember? And we did that, which is supposed to rotate. Yep. Did it ever rotate?
Nope. The whole time. You're like, yo, I'm like, what's up? You're like, I got a raid can. I'm like, raid? And you're like, for the roaches, you know what I mean? And we're just
because I was instructed to get rid of the roaches. I didn't realize how many there were. So I bought raid and I brought it in. And I saw the hole that they lived in. And you're talking like a Vietnam era bathroom here.
Yeah.
You're talking like the most rancid stains that are just part of the foundation that will never come out. Smells that will never, ever leave.
Yeah.
Thousands of people have ran through this bathroom. Right.
I've seen a lot of action.
Yeah.
A lot of action. Yeah.
I sprayed this roach hole with a can of Raid. We leave. After our clean, we hear a scream and people just running out the bathroom. We're like, what's going on? They're like, you got to get in there. Well, that can made them basically evacuate their home. And the bathroom, like some sort of Stephen King nightmare, like only something Pennywise the Clown from It would create. Every square inch of the bathroom had a cockroach on it. The ceilings, the walls.
Oh, man.
Every square inch were massive cockroaches. I'm talking, these things could fly.
They were like state birds, like just.
I remember being proud of that, though. Eventually, they all died, and then we swept them up in a pile. I remember taking pictures of the pile. It was like a huge pile.
I can't even. It was huge. You know what I mean? Massive pile. It's crazy.
Oh, that was our life.
Yeah, for the whole time. You know what I mean? We're there.
Oh, we forgot Tuku.
Oh, Tuki?
Oh my God, I love Tuku. He's in the National Guard in Alaska. He's from Samoa. He was from our tech school too. I'm just gonna throw him under the bus right now on something I've wanted to say for a long, long time. He fell asleep at the wheel and he ran over a sign on the flight line, and no one ever knew who it was, and it was him.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that too.
He also was hungover and fell asleep in the bathroom, and he lost BTZ because of that, because he was just literally unconscious in a bathroom stall. Do you see what happens when the drinking age is 18?
It's bad things.
You see what happens.
Bad things.
It's not good.
Bad things. I mean, I've done that too. I woke up. Remember when I woke up hungover and we had squadron PT and I was late, and I come running out, right? The whole squadron's there, and you remember those birds?
Oh, the birds that chase you.
Yeah, they chased me all the way. They chased me all the way to PT, and even the commander. I think now he's Colonel Froelich, was just like, like that was the worst time.
Look at him run. Look at him suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was like
Major Froelich. Oh man, that guy. He was not a fan of us. Let me tell you.
No, I met him. Did I tell you that? I saw.
Yeah, you got to meet him years later, right?
Yeah, when I was at FTAC NCYC, and he came walking in as the base commander, and he's like, he's like, growing up, huh? I was like, yes, sir.
He remembered you though, for real?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I would love to see him again and just apologize to him.
Yeah, we put him through hell. That is a solid commander.
And it wasn't just that like we screwed up; it's that other people screwed up, and we were witness to it, which never looked good. When every situation we got roped into.
Yeah, I remember that.
Stuff would happen to us, and it would be like our fault.
Some of it was, you know what I mean? But like, there are times where like, I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, what? And you're like, you did. It's like Sergeant Harden came out. He's like, you want to answer some questions? I'm like, for what? Like, what did I do? He's like, you did this. I'm like, no, I didn't. He's like, yes, you did. You remember?
And he's like, well, here's your LOR anyways. So
I'm like, like, I was like, I don't have, I don't know what to say.
Well, I remember the biggest diss Major Froelich ever gave me was that he knew my aunt Jamie at the time she retired as a colonel, a full board colonel. At this time, I want to say she was a lieutenant colonel. I think she was a lieutenant colonel at this time.
Yeah.
And I talked about her. You know, my dad was an officer. My aunt is still in. She's a commander. And then he brought her up. This is after like my room inspection failed. And I didn't know that it failed. I didn't even know they looked at it. And he's like, hey, you said your aunt is an officer, right? I was like, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, she is. Yes. Why do you ask? He's like, well, I'm thinking about calling her and telling how much of a screw up you are. I was like,
oh my, I remember that.
I was like, what?
I remember that.
He's like, you can't even clean your room. How about I let her know about that? And I was like, oh my,
man.
It was worse than that. I'm just not going to say exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But it was the most stone cold out of nowhere diss. And mind you, on the flight line, you don't talk to officers. They're like a needle in the haystack. So for one to find me to tell me that message, it just like exploded my head. Yeah.
Your brain melted and you're like, what? You know, like, what did you just say? You know?
So if you were to you know, talk to an airman in your shoes that was just kind of the class clown in high school, had a great time in tech school, hadn't really matured. They're going into their first base and they want to make a difference and they want to be themselves, you know, but there should be parameters when you're being yourself, right? You're in a professional environment. You're not around mommy and daddy anymore or your buddies from school. What would you tell an airman who is kind of a goofball going into their first base? Was there any advice you would give them on that first impression?
I would tell them to calm down, right? One, you know what I mean? And it's time to just listen and learn, you know? The two major things, because I did not do that when we got to our assignment, you know? And I wish I did that, you know? And kind of just like, you know, just absorbed, you know? That would be the major thing for me. Just
shut up and listen.
Not shut up. I mean, I don't like that because I think the airmen need to ask questions and stuff, but I just not like full throttle. You know what I mean?
I think it's like knowing your priorities.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It better be full throttle, like another area. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Right. Like take all that energy and focus it.
And apply it. You know what I mean? That's what I would tell someone who is like me coming in or like you were coming in is just redirect your attention somewhere else, you know, versus acting crazy like we did.
Yeah. Like my priority was, what are we doing this weekend? We're in this band called Faded Memories, which to me was the best band of all time. One of the best screamo bands in history that just waves throughout the island of Guam. But Faded Memories and what we're doing that weekend was my priority. And being funny and likable and relatable, that was my priority. And learning and CDCs and all that just kind of fell to the wayside.
I remember that.
It ended up biting us in the butt because it wasn't our priority. Had we took all that energy and excitement and said, okay, I need to learn this, I need to do this. Well, people are depending on me. If we could have just saw it that way, I think we would have approached it differently. But by the time that caught on, it was too late.
I think we did that initially, at least for a few months. And then being a 3 level, you know what I mean? And wanting to work on the big stuff, it was shot down, you know? So it was like, almost at that point, it was like, what's the point, you know?
So like you just weren't being heard at all at that point.
Yeah. So it was like, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep it light and funny at work, you know?
Yeah, they definitely checked out way too early because when I got to Kadena, well, for one, I didn't even know what like a decoration was. Didn't get one of those. They're like, you didn't get a decoration. Like, where's your decoration? I'm like, what the hell is that? Right. Yeah. So didn't get one of those. My EPR was like so poorly written. Like there was just nothing to work with. And then when they looked at my training records, nothing was in there.
The 623s, the paper ones.
I still have the paper ones too. I kept them. But there was nothing in there and they were irate.
Yeah.
That I was just left to the wayside, had nothing accomplished. And as a new airman, I didn't know better. I didn't know like what I needed to get done or to get trained on. They literally just said, screw it.
Yep. They're like, and that's why I tell you, man, like the whole time we were there, it was like WRM. Remember when Age was like repainting their stuff or whatever? We were just doing stencils, you know? I remember specifically with you doing a competition to where like I can put a ratchet on a bolt and just do this. Do you remember that?
It's vaguely familiar.
And seeing how long I can sit there and just like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's crappy, but like, it's like, we went in there just so defeated, it's like, well, we did that for like 6-8 hours. No one said anything. So it's like, you know what I mean?
There was no development whatsoever. And we were just
Right.
set up to fail. And when I got to Kadena, that's why I had such a hard time, because I'm rolling into senior airman with no mentorship, with no education, with no training. And I just think, in my eyes, the Air Force is just like whatever.
Yeah.
But at Kadena, they definitely were not like whatever. And it freaking rocked my world, man. Like, it was really, really hard to go from no one caring or saying anything to this intense mission where things have to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then, what?
No, I was just saying, you know what I mean? Like the difference and how jarring that could be. Yeah,
it wasn't everyone in that shop though. I mean, there's a couple of heroes, like remember Chadwick?
Oh my God, I love Chadwick. Douglas Chadwick.
Yeah, Chadwick would at least he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing this. He's like, well, you're doing that wrong. And then he would go and be like, here's how you do it, and I would go ask him questions, you know what I mean? He would show us, and it was like every day it was like Chadwick, but yeah, I give that man props, because I think it was a senior airman at the time, and then he's still on staff before we left.
Yep.
And then I believe now he's in EOD.
Yep, he's in EOD, and his wife, Stephanie, who we said is from our tech school, they got married. They have 2 beautiful children. They went back to Guam.
Yeah.
They lived there for many, many years. And I believe they just got back stateside. I think they're in Virginia now, if I'm not mistaken. And Stephanie's like a full-fledged nurse working in the ER and with COVID patients. And like, she's the real deal. And Chadwick's EOD. I mean, it's pretty awesome how great they're doing. Do you remember
what?
Osmond? I'm friends with him on Facebook. I think he got out and he became like a contractor, and he was deploying as a civilian for a while.
Well, I can say it. I'm glad he's out, because you know what I mean. I'm glad he's not like.
Oh, Osmond was so fun to troll, because like he just let us annoy him so much that like it was almost, we just had to do it. Like we just had to annoy this dude. And I remember he made staff, but then he lied about his rank, yelling at someone one day.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And they demoted him for that. I think he yelled at someone in the dorms and said he's a tech sergeant and they better listen to him. And they're like, no, you're not.
You're like, what are you talking about? You're like a staff,
And I found out through him that, that's against the law, and you will get in a lot of trouble for that. And I didn't know that, but when I saw what happened to him, I was like, well, noted. We'll not be doing that. Well, actually, no, we were doing that. We were telling the locals when we went out that we were pilots.
Oh my God, I remember that. Oh my God. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the bar with the
we were at the bar.
Or pilots.
Well, no, there was times where we were just out downtown, and when we were meeting people, they seemed to care, like the locals seemed to care like what rank we were, because they were very familiar with like how much money we would then have to have fun, and if we had a house and things like that, right? They don't want an airman who's broke living in the dorms. Like that's the last dude they want to talk to, right? And so like, I don't know if you were doing this, but I was telling everyone I was an officer and a pilot, like straight up.
That's what it was.
But no, I looked like such a child that no one believed me ever. Luckily, I didn't even know that I wasn't supposed to do that. And then when I saw what happened to Osmond, I thought, dear God, I'm never saying that again.
Don't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do not do that. Yeah. Do not do that. So stupid.
It is. Again, drinking at 18 doesn't lead to the best decision.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
So did drinking that young have any negative effect on your life ever, or did it not phase you in any way?
Not my life. It had effect in Guam. And then I PCS, and then like, man, my PIF was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember that? I had
I still have it
when I left. And I burned everything, and I was like, never again. I went down to Kirtland. I was like, I'm just gonna shut up and listen, and learn. And it worked out for a long time, So it's not a life impact, but more like a career impact, I guess, if that makes sense.
So like it kind of ruined that experience a little bit for you, and you had to learn a lot of tough lessons.
Yeah,
but it didn't. But none of that's really stuck with you.
No, it's not. I mean, I went in as like a A1C that didn't follow rules, and you know what I mean, didn't listen. And now, I mean, obviously it's changed, you know, because I got a line number, but I mean, yeah,
it stuck with me because I started like whenever I get stressed out or upset, I would just get hammered that night and it would go away for that night.
Probably not a good thing.
That's the habit I started developing there. And like, I remember there was a point where like you had enough, you wanted to leave and not get kicked out. So you stopped drinking because like, it kind of caught on to you that if you're a sober witness, you probably won't get in trouble because like you're not drinking. So that was part of the problem, was that we were all drinking and we were all witnesses, and you stopped doing that like the last like 4 months or so, I'd say. And I couldn't wrap my head around how you did that, straight up. Like I could not figure out how you were able to do that. I was like, how?
I had enough, you know what I mean? Like you just kind of get lost, and you know, and
that should have been a red flag to myself, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And when I got to Kadena, which was one of the most stressful 2 years of my life, period, because of just the demand in the workload came before anything else. Right. And so I started drinking because I was stressed like crazy, and that stuck with me for the better part of a decade. And so now I don't drink anymore, partially because of just my experience with it was never good, right? Most of the time it wasn't positive. It was for a negative reason. That's just me personally.
I agree.
But also I want to bring up burger stock. So if you remember, we talked about those 2 airmen who are a little bit ahead of us, who we pissed off, and they just dragged our names through the mud. One of them was named Michael Burgerstock, who developed a nasty habit of drinking in Guam, to the point where like I didn't even believe him when he told me he drank a 5th a day. I remember he said, and then one day I opened his closet. He said, "Hey, look in my closet." And I opened it, and just glass bottles just came barreling out of Jack Daniels, empty Jack Daniels that he held on to. And like when you add it all up, like dude was drinking a 5th a day. And I was like, how is that even possible? Like how? And that stuck with that guy until he died a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, of, you know, like organ failure.
Which sucks.
I talked to his family. They told me he was having seizures. He was struggling with it it started in Guam and it never left him. He continued to drink that way until he died at around like 33 years old, 32 years old or so. He's also one of the reasons why I don't drink, because that shit scared the hell out of me. You know what I mean? Like, if I died that young, like I wouldn't have kids. I wouldn't, you know, like there's just damage that you could be doing to your body when you're taking it to the extreme. And just, I've always learned from other people's lessons. So when I found out he passed away, like it was heartbreaking that this guy that was struggling the way I was struggling just could not let it go to the point of death. You know what I mean?
It sucks, man. It sucks. And I think friends and family lost a good one, you know what I mean? And it's like you said, it's heartbreaking, you know, you got to watch it. You know what I mean? You can't keep that young gun pace, you know, like that. You can't do it, you know?
And if there's something broken inside you, like you need to freaking address it another way.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a sad story and it sucks. You know what I mean?
But yeah, he's definitely a big reason why I try to stay as healthy as I can for my family. You know, I try to take care of myself through learning through his journey and what happened to him. You know what I mean? Because I didn't think that was even possible, honestly. Like I knew like medically it was possible, but I'd never met anyone that has actually passed away like that from an addiction, especially one as common as alcohol. I've never known anyone who's died from it. So when that happened, it just blew my mind. And I'm really trying to live my life in a different way from his story.
For sure. 100%, man. You got to watch, you got to be careful with that. You know, you can't take it to extremes, you know what I mean? Yeah,
man. And speaking of extremes and going through a tough time,
what's that?
Is someone at your house right now?
No, it's the kids are like, you know, there's up and down.
Oh, the kids are there with you right now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you still have the girlfriend?
Yeah.
Bean?
Yeah, I think that's her, Amber. Hey.
Sorry, the cat got out. The kid left the door open.
Oh. Yeah, that's weird.
Tell her to come on in and say hello.
Yeah, wait a second. She's hunting down. We got a new kitten, so she's like chasing this cat down.
Oh, gotcha. So let's talk about what I planned with her for your birthday while you were in Korea.
That was awesome. One of my buddies, Alex Temple, he'll probably be watching this. He came out with like a box of tissues. He's like, "Here you go." You already knew it. I was like, "Oh, that was awesome." So
run me through what that was. What happened that day?
So I was working at the Dragon's Den, which is like one of the Squadron Hooches. They called me in because it's my birthday. Sergeant Cradell actually kind of planned it out a little bit. I love her to death. They brought me in, and then they turned on the giant projector, and they're like, "Hey, surprise, we got some for you." And they hit play on a video, and it was game over. You know what I mean? Game over.
It was a collection of birthday messages from friends and family.
Yeah, Summer was like, "Hi, Uncle Ronnie." I was like, "Ah!" You know what I mean? Like immediately, it was one of the coolest things, man, that's happened to me overseas, especially in Korea. That was awesome, 100%. I was so happy that night.
Yeah, man, I was on a run like a little bit before your birthday.
Yeah,
and I was on like one of those really good runs where like all the endorphins are going, and I just saw it in my mind. This surprise, like I just pictured it, and I thought this could happen. This is happening. And so I got with your girlfriend to set it up, and I got with Sergeant Cradell, and even and chief of your entire wing, Chief Ronnie Woods.
Ronnie Woods is bad. Sorry, I'm going to say he's badass now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, and he was totally on board with the idea too. But man, that was one of the most special things I've ever seen. Yeah. And I will put the video link in the description in the show notes if you want to find that video and watch it for yourself.
Okay.
The question that I just had though was, given that you had a terrible first experience at your first base, as far as like how you're perceived,
right,
and how people basically gave up on you way too quick, has there ever been a time where the roles were reversed, and now that you've been in much, much longer, that you've seen someone where people kind of gave up on and you kind of stepped in and helped get them on track?
So I remember a guy, and he's on my friends list. It's a Darius Smith, 100%. He was my first troop when I stood on staff. He wasn't the same situation, but he had a hard time coming up. And now he's gold. You know what I mean? And that wasn't just my doing. That was a lot of him growing up, and that was a lot of my peers and techs getting involved with him and bringing them up kind of on this pedestal. So Darius Smith, if you're watching this is 100% you.
That's awesome, man. So you basically saw someone who would be really easy to just say, forget him. He's not going to make it. Like, don't invest in him. Don't waste your time on him.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that bad. It's just like you can tell that he was. No offense, homie, if you're seeing this, but he was an emotional guy, But he definitely turned around. He's a very impressive young man. I was actually with him in Kunsan, so I saw him again. And it was awesome. So you
got to see like the future him.
Yeah, he basically is. He's on the up and ups. I think he has a very bright career ahead of him and a very, very bright future. So that would be my one guy.
That's awesome, man. Like you kind of have the ability to recognize to not quit on someone so quick. And you kind of knew what type of mentorship you needed to invest in that person to help them see things a different way. And then when someone like starts getting all this support, like it's kind of hard not to do better when people are believing in you instead of just, crapping on you.
I mean, honestly, man, like if I'm gonna be honest, it's a little different than that because I didn't know much about supervising or anything until I got to Fairchild. And that's where I really, really, really grew, I think, professionally, personally, right? So a lot of this was me seeing something in him that reminded me of myself, right? And a lot of the other guys, like a 180 dynamic than what we're used to, kind of stepping in and making sure that he was taken care of, So it's just a little bit different situation, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm just so happy that there's airmen out there who get to have you as a supervisor.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you don't know you're doing a bad job until someone's like, hey, this guy sucks, or he, you know, or whatever. But I think I'm doing okay, you know, and I'm always, I mean, people say mission first, but it's not, you know, in my point, it's always people. And I try to take care of people as much as possible. I just don't, you know, unless I get feedback, I won't know, you know, but the intent's there, you know, and it's 100%. So it'll always be people, and me and you won't be here, you know, we'll retire one day, and it's just making sure the next guys and gals are prepared, you know?
Yeah. I think that's just crazy that we're here. And at this point in our lives where we after that first base experience, our expectations dropped greatly of ourselves and of our time in the Air Force. Right. Yep. We were kind of uncertain about how it was going to play out at that point. And we lost a lot of self-confidence too in that process. So to flash forward 17 years later, where, you know, we're master sergeants, we have a family, you know, we have exceeded the people who held us back.
I remember that. Yeah. Specifically.
Like that's the trippiest part about it, is that the people that criticized us the most couldn't hang. And here we are today doing what they could not do, the people that criticized us. So what we both did after, you know, having many conversations, was we took the way we were looked at and we made it into a positive change, and we didn't let it break us, right? We let it fuel us. We let it make us better.
For sure. 100%. But I think that, that's the thing. Yeah, that's a good input. But a lot of that for me, because we kind of split different routes, you know, a lot of that for me was having that one or two senior leaders that was like, hey, I'm going to invest in you. You know what I mean? So that was the Kyle Geske. He doesn't have Facebook. That was the Stephen Watson. You know, that was the Sergeant Cradell. You know, people like that. You know, and if I'm missing anyone, sorry, but people like that made a huge freaking impact on what I do and, you know, how I go about myself. You know, and you've heard the term leadership's a salad bar.
I have not heard that.
Yeah, so I pick the best parts. You know what I mean? That I want. You know, it's funny, right?
No, I've never heard of that, but I love it.
Yeah. Pick the best parts, and it's been my kind of motto growing up. It's an old term, you know, but people like that have definitely had my back, you know, and shown me the path and stuff. So it's been really cool seeing that. So
that's beautiful, man, and I can't tell you how proud of you I am, for real.
You too, homie. Not just me, you too.
You know, going from all that. Just going from where we're at and where we're headed to where we're at now, we did it together. We're still here. We're still standing, and we're trying to make a difference, and we're trying to be what we felt we didn't have, you know?
Yeah.
And so for anyone out there struggling at their first base, I would just say, hang in there.
We're one of them, man. You know,
if they give up on you, make sure you don't give up on you. Because you're going to go to another base. You're going to have different opportunities. You're going to have different chances. People are going to come and go, and you're going to change, and you're not going to be the same you in a few years. So don't give up on yourself so quickly is what I would tell anyone at that first base struggling. You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%, man. 100%.
All right, man. So my kids are screaming. My wife was just up here saying, like, wrap it up. So I'm going to let you go, man. But
all right, brother.
Is there any final thought or story or anything you'd like to share before we get off of here?
I love you, homie, and I love those that are watching. So I appreciate it. Hopefully the message spreads, you know, and hope people dial in on this like podcast you're doing. You know what I mean? Hopefully it grows more.
Let's end with a funny Guam story that's not rated R.
Funny Guam story? No. You want me to tell it?
Yeah, I can edit this. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Sergeant White, when he was a young A1C, decided to drink a whole bottle of Sky vodka.
I tried to drink the fifth. I tried to drink a fifth and see if I could do it.
you did it, right?
I did.
So, you did it. And you're like, F that. And you grabbed this ball and you threw it, right? And there's 7 Marines hanging around kind of this area.
This is an apartment. This is an apartment complex. I know. And I threw it, but here's how I remember. I remember throwing it blindly. It just happened to go towards the wrong group of people.
Yep. So it hit around the area of these 7 Marines, and you went inside and you passed out with your eyes open. And then 7 Marines came out and were like, who threw that bottle? And I was like, oh, it was my buddy. He's like, you're going to pick it up. So I was out there with the broom going, all right.
Oh my God. You had to pick that up? I don't even remember that.
I had to pick it up. So I was so mad at you the next day. You know what I mean? I had to sit there, sweep it up. I thought I was going to get my butt kicked, because I'm sitting there sweeping up, and I stormed in with this like dustpan of glass, the Sky vodka glass, like, Josh. And then there you were, just on a single little couch, like passed out, eyes wide open, like, you're not waking up. You're not going to wake. You know what I mean? So I had to go. I'm sorry you guys are hearing the story, but I had to go dump it. And yeah.
The night is actually way worse than that. I'm
not gonna.
So I'll divulge a little bit more of that story. So there was one Marine in particular who lived there, who's the one that told you to clean, who looked like a bodybuilder. Like he wasn't just this tough Marine. Like, he was freaking insane. It was like John Cena after like doing meth. Like, that's what he. That's basically what he was. And like the man was terrifying, and it hit near him and his friends, but they came bursting in that room. I know the person who owned the apartment that we were at was familiar with these people. So when they knocked on the door, he let them in, and they come flying in looking for me to attack me. And at this point I was still And I remember a girl in particular yelling and screaming in my face. And I was so dazed and out of it. All I could do was just stare and wonder, like, is she yelling at me right now? Like, I couldn't process like what was happening. I just sat there like drooling while this girl is like screaming in my face. And then she pushes me, and something out of a cartoon, she pushes me back. I step on a skateboard that was on the ground. I start sliding backwards, and I crash into a massive DVD stand that comes crashing down. All the discs come out, and every time I try to stand up, I slip on another DVD case on this like very slippery floor, and I'm just swimming in DVDs while this girl's like screaming at me and everyone's laughing. And then there was pictures of that. Yeah. There's actually, I don't know if I still have them, but there's pictures of me in a pile of DVDs, and I couldn't get up. And that was pretty much the last thing I remember about that night.
I didn't want to divulge in that, but thank you.
You had to. I mean, who swims in DVDs from slipping on a skateboard? Like, it was something like out of a cartoon.
I think I drove you. I think I was sober-ish. You know what I mean? I watched it all unfold, and I was like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, what is happening?
So let me I guess I'll share one about you then next.
Yeah.
And we'll end with a story about you. So, God, I don't even know if I should tell it.
I don't know.
I won't say who it was. I won't say who it was, but I'll tell the story. You already know. About the jungle story?
Car.
Oh.
Never mind. You're talking about that one? I'm sorry, you're talking about like.
Okay, I'm telling 2 stories.
Okay,
wait a second. No, what are you talking about? Tell me what you're talking about.
So I'm talking about that one time that I was in an altercation with someone, and then the guy came out and was like, no one touches mine,
I don't remember that. You're going to have to remind me of that. And he came
storming out, and I was like, I'm going to kick your, and I was going at it with them. And then this person like grabbed her drink and then threw it in my car, and it ran off in the jungle. Like, you know that?
What was that?
I don't want to say it.
Don't tell me offline.
Yeah. I don't want to say it.
Oh, that was Mary.
Yeah. Tell me that offline, Josh. Appreciate it.
That was Mary. She threw why did she throw that at your car? What happened?
I forgot what happened. It was, dude, that was
and I think she was dating Philbrick at that time. And I remember I recorded their whole argument. I recorded that whole night, and I didn't know my cheap little camera didn't pick up audio. So all I had was this dark footage with no audio, and I couldn't use it, and I was so upset about it. But that was a crazy night.
It wasn't Philbrook, it was Turbo. All right, come on.
Oh yeah, Turbo. That guy was fast though. But
no more.
So Philbrook, we love you. But I told you this. I told you should have stopped smoking, Philbrook. I told you. Anyways, so no, I'll tell a story about you. The one time we had a rental car.
Okay. Oh my God.
And I remembered a Seinfeld episode where they didn't get the insurance because they thought it was pointless, and then they crashed, and then they had to pay for the car, and they tried to take it back and ask for the insurance. And because of that episode of Seinfeld, I made sure we got that insurance, and I was joking that we were going to take this car to a destruction derby. So I'm getting the
roller. Yep.
And I'm going to annihilate this car, and it's going to be free because I'm paying for the insurance. And they're like, I remember them being like a little like hesitant, like, are they being serious or?
Yeah.
We actually totaled the car though. We actually totaled the car. So here's how the car got totaled. This is the first time we were in a vehicle. So remember, we're poor airmen. We walked everywhere. We took buses, like we hitched rides. We couldn't afford a car at this time. And so this rental car was a big deal. It was going to be the craziest weekend ever. We could drive anywhere we wanted, right?
Yeah.
And we're driving in the car, and there was like a serious hill we were on. Like I was seeing parts of Guam that day that I've never seen before, right? And we were flying down this mountainside in Guam, and I'm looking in my giant CD case of all my emo music and all my screamo music, thinking like, what are we going to listen to? AFI, Senses Fail, Under Oath. Like, what are we going to listen to on this epic weekend that we're about to embark on? And I'm looking through my CD case, and I remember asking you like, hey, what do you want to listen to?
I was like, I don't know. I was like driving. I was like,
I look over at Ronnie expecting him to be just listening to me and looking at the road, but he's actually eyeballing the CD case and very invested in what I'm doing. And he's so invested, I think, how long has he been looking at this CD case while driving? I better look up and see where we're at on the road. I look up, and there's a red light, and there's this like old Toyota like truck.
Yeah.
At the red light. And I said, Ronnie, there's a red light. And you look up and you slam on the brakes, and it was too late. And this was such an old school truck. It was basically made of steel, and we were in like a Kia.
Yeah.
And our Kia just completely concaves in, slamming into the back of this truck. The truck had virtually no damage on it, which was amazing.
Yeah.
This old guy, this old Chamorro, that's what they're called in Guam, gets out. He doesn't have insurance, and he just says, hey, you hit me. If you're cool with it, I'm just going to leave. Like, I don't have a license. I don't have insurance. Like, I have warrants. And I was like, dude, get out of here. Like, I don't care. Like, we hit you, just leave. So again, that's illegal. Don't do that. But that was the first wreck I'd ever been in. Like, honest to God, did not know what to do. Like, honest to God.
You're welcome.
And so this thing's barely drivable. We're like, we got to get it back on base. We got to turn this car in. Like it's leaking all these fluids. It's making weird noises, but it was somehow drivable. We drive it through the gate. They were like, what the hell? Like, are we supposed to report this? And I was like, nah, man, like we already called it in. Like we like made something. We made something up. They let us on base. They're not supposed to let a destroyed vehicle on base. And so we turned the car in, and like they literally had to pay for it. Like the insurance worked.
Thank you. That would have been like 20 grand.
They literally had to take the car back broken, but we ended up getting paperwork for it, I think, anyways, because we left the scene of a crime. Our supervisor found out, and they're like, you broke the law, and here's an LOR.
Yeah.
And I was like, shoot, I'll take that over 20 grand. Like, give me that. Where do I got to sign? Well, you don't have any idea how lucky we got in that situation.
Yeah, dude. Extremely.
It's unreal.
Extremely lucky.
Yes. Unreal how lucky we got. Like, we could have hurt that guy. You know what I mean?
Dude,
oh, my God.
That would have been bad.
And then the other story I'm going to tell about you that I'm not going to mention the name is that we were having a Halo LAN tournament One of my best friends ever, Freisinger, was there. Shout out to Adam Freisinger in West Virginia. But we were playing this game and this guy was drinking heavily, came in, started making fun of us and started messing with Ronnie, who had to fight his whole life in high school. And
I had a broken hand too. It was in the cast.
It was in a cast. How did you break your hand?
An MC7, the air compressor. Remember, I was like hauling it out of the hangar and I was like, I got it. It's fine. I got it. Right. And kept going downhill. I was like, I got it. Right. And it just kept getting momentum. And I tried to hold on to it because I was scared of getting in trouble of it falling over the cliff. You remember that?
I do. Wow. That was actually terrifying.
Yeah. The pintle hook I caught between the momentum of this MC7 and the guardrail. And then like my fingernail was like facing
that was actually terrifying. Like, I think I witnessed that like unfold.
Yeah. No, you did. And you're like, are you all right? And I was like, I was like, no, I'm fine. And it was like, my hand was like,
yeah, man, that was a scary situation.
Yeah. So that's how I broke my hand. But
yes, you did have a cast on, and you're a fun and easygoing guy. But what people would fail to realize, including me, when I would test you and you'd have to put me in my place multiple times. You even called me 3 doors down for the longest time because you threw me 3 doors down. And I couldn't be mad. I couldn't be mad at that name because that was a genius nickname. Like, that was such a clever name that you gave me that I just had to accept it. But anyways, people don't realize that you had to fight in high school, being in a part of Albuquerque, and that you could throw a decent punch and people don't see it coming from you sometimes just because of your nature. Yeah. And this person tested you and they were drunk and they were bullying you and you stood up. Even with this cast on, you ducked a punch. You ducked a punch. I saw it in slow motion. You ducked a punch and then Mortal Kombat uppercut this person who flew into a fridge and all the magnets and things fell on his head. And I just remember my respect level for you. My respect level for you went through the roof after seeing this epic uppercut on this guy. Yeah. And then that person went out. We locked the door, we threw him out, and then he told this barbecue that was happening outside that we jumped him, and we had this mob of people trying to break the door down to get to us.
Age guys. It was age guys.
Oh, so it was more than just him that said it.
It was all age guys.
Well, that was our own team. That's not very good.
Yes. No.
I don't remember who called the police. Maybe we did. I think legitimately it had gotten out of hand. Like even supervisors and people that are in leadership positions were wasted trying to break this door down to attack us.
And that was the time that I stopped drinking. That was the time.
I don't blame you for that.
Yes. So I was sober that night.
I don't blame you for that. And the cops were called and everyone got in trouble, including us. And we got paperwork for that. We had to write statements for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that got like really nutty. I think I was even were we put in jail for? No, that was something else. Oh, that's a different story.
I got an LOC from Sergeant Hardy for defending myself.
And I got an LOR, I think, because I was drinking or something, and it was my room, and I got an LOR for that. And that's when we were like, we need to keep our nose clean. Like, this is getting really out of hand now. But that's the last story I'll share with our audience. There's more. There's one where I was in a holding cell and they called the wrong first shirt in the middle of the night to come get me. And the first shirt was like, "That's my guy," and I was like, "I don't know you. You're not my shirt. I'm not going. I'm not leaving with this guy." Yeah, that's a whole nother story. I have multiple stories from my time in Okinawa. Luckily, the older I got, the wiser I got. The more those stories stopped happening because I wised up. And here we are 17 years later and we're freaking killing it. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us. You're my best friend from day one in basic training. Yep. I think it was fate that we got to go to Guam together and tech school together and we got to be roommates. I think it was just fate. We were just meant to be friends and there for each other. So you're my best friend forever, man. I love you. I'm proud of you. And we're going to end with that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. This was the hero's journey of my BFF, Master Sergeant Ronnie Deschenes. We're out. What's up, HeroFront fam? Josh here. And I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to that episode in its entirety. I owe you a hug. And the next time I see you, let me know how many hugs I owe you and we'll get after it. Before you turn me off though, I want you to subscribe on YouTube to the HeroFront podcast and give me a 5-star rating on Facebook or Apple Podcasts. It would be much, much appreciated to get your love and support. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us on this HeroFront journey. And I will see you on the next episode. Let's get after it.